Welcome back to another 5-Minute Friday, and today we're going to talk about all things tire, from what we're using to how we air up. But first, let's roll that intro. Although often overlooked, in my opinion, tires are probably one of the most important components in a vehicle build. You can have all the lockers, traction aids, or power you want, but if your tires won't hook up, you're going to spend a lot of time winching through things that you could otherwise have driven through had you had the right tires and pressure. So we're going to break it down to 3 categories: the Falken AT3Ws and our impression with them after a year, the different tire pressures we use on the terrain we travel on, and the arduous process of airing up and down, and a few tools that make the process a little easier. So let's start with what's quickly become our favorite AT tires to date. Let me just say up front that typically ATs are not my go-to. In fact, my opinion on tires is that they're categorized wrong. All-terrains to me are more of a street tire, while mud terrains are an all-terrain, and boggers are, well, a mud terrain. Again, only my opinion, but I tend to gravitate towards mud terrains because of all the rain we get in the Pacific Northwest. But Falken was insistent on the AT3Ws, and honestly with good reason. Snow, dirt, ice, rocks, water, there's not much you can throw at these tires that they don't eat up and spit out. So let's dig into the details. We're running 285/75/17s, which is a 34-inch E-rated tire. The Falken AT3Ws have the deepest tread depth in its class at 20-30 seconds, has super aggressive sidewall and heat diffusion technology, which helps to improve stability and control when under heavy loads. So like I said before, I've been super impressed with the AT3Ws, particularly in snow and ice. We spent the winter putting the truck and tires through deep snow, slick ice, and I can confidently say that these are the best winter performing tires that I've used. There's not a lot of terrain left that we haven't tried to push these tires to failure in, and the weak spot, like most all-terrains, is mud. Although they handle better than most, when you get into that thick stuff, they don't clear like MTs, and they're a little heavier than most tires in its class, so there were some compromises to make the AT3Ws perform the way they do. So aside from weight and mud, there's really not a lot negative you can say about the AT3Ws. We will be switching to MTs when we travel abroad because we'll be hitting the rainy season and we feel like it'll handle the terrain a little bit better than the all-terrains will. So along with having the right tires, the right tire pressure for the terrain you're on is, in my opinion, just as important. This is not an exact science, as there's so many factors that play into this, namely weight. It is important to note that weight and tire rating is going to play a big part in how the pressures affect your tread width when airing down. Something else to note is airing down isn't just about traction, it plays a big part in comfort and the wear that you put on the vehicle as well. When the pressure in the tire is lower, it allows vibrations and impact to be absorbed by the tires rather than the suspension or your back. This is why typically you'll see me air down as soon as I hit dirt, not because I need the extra traction, but because it makes the experience a lot more enjoyable for everyone involved, including the rig. Another myth I'd like to dispel is that lower tire pressures makes you much more susceptible to rolling a bead, which in theory is true, but it's really hard to do. I would never recommend this to anybody, but on several occasions I've traveled at highway speeds, aired down to an undisclosed air pressure, and was more worried about the truck rolling than the bead. In fact, in all my time on the trail, I've only twice seen somebody roll a bead. Both times were in the sand with full-size trucks overloaded and aired down to below 8 psi. So as you can see, it's much harder to do than folks think, and in my opinion, the risk you take not airing down far outweighs rolling a bead and having to reset it on the trail. Okay, so enough with the rant, let's talk about the tire pressures we use on the trail. So keep in mind, this is a 6,800 pound vehicle on E-rated tires. So on smooth forestry road, we typically see pressures at 12 to 15. On bad trails, snow, ice, or sand, we start at 10 psi and lower from there. Always err on the higher side, lowering the pressure incrementally. Don't be afraid of those lower tire pressures and experiment. Like I said, every vehicle is going to be different. So we've talked about the tires we use and the pressure we keep, and now let's talk about how we get air in and out of the tire as well on the trail. We've pretty much always used an ARB deflator to take the pressure out of the tires. It's super quick, easy, efficient, doesn't take much space, but it's a little confusing if you've never used one before. Super quick tutorial because we've had a few people ask. Screw the deflator onto the valve stem, use the knob on the top to unscrew the valve core. Pull the large outside area to let the air out, or check your pressures, and make sure you reverse the process by screwing the core back in before removing. We covered our ARB dual compressor and switch pro setup in our vehicle walk around that you can check out in the description below, but these two in combination make a pretty slick way to air up without having to run back and forth turning the compressor off and on. That's a lot of info in this one, but that pretty much covers the questions we get in regards to tires. I'm not an expert on this stuff, nor do I claim to be. These are just my experiences and opinions I have on the things that I've used. So if you guys are running the AT3Ws, I would love to hear your experience with them in the comments below. And I know I say this every week, but we're really close to hitting 6,000 subscribers, so if you wouldn't mind smashing that button, it would really mean a lot to me. And we'll see you guys next week on 5 Minute Friday. Peace!